everyone, and welcome to Wind, Reel, and Print. My name is Ryan.
And my name is Kevin.
And today we're talking about the hit, well, I added hit, I'm not sure if it was a hit, I think it was, 1994 American superhero comedy.
It made money.
The Mask. Directed by Chuck Russell.
The one and only.
The one and only. What else has Chucky done? The Blob, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, Eraser, and The Scorpion King.
Paradise City.
I don't know that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Brief, for those of you that haven't seen The Mask, I'll just read the quick little, just a tiny blurb here. Carrie plays...
Hit us with the blurb.
Little blurb.
Yeah.
Carrie plays Stanley Ipkiss, an ordinary man who finds an enchanted mask that transforms him into the titular green-faced troublemaker who can cartoonishly alter himself and his surroundings at will. Surroundings, I don't really know if that's... I mean, maybe I guess. But, what?
What?
Kevin was dancing.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it seemed like we hit a similar wall.
Yeah.
With this one.
Yeah.
But you give us a little bit of taste of what Kevin's
review.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just very quickly, like in my head at least, because this movie's from 1994.
Yeah.
So this movie is kind of like this thing in my memory of like knowing The Mask, and like I think I had seen it super young, but this like image of the green mask is so prevalent in my mind, and like memory and stuff. And I think like my memory of this movie just became its own thing in terms of like what I thought the movie was, and like, you know, all these expectations. And so I remember when we put it on, you were like excited. You were like, yes. Like,
and I think we weren't able to, we didn't even know who put it on. I think we both had an itch to see it.
I thought
right?
you put it on.
I'm pretty sure I did, but I thought when we were talking about it that there was some. Like,
like who?
Yeah, it's like, but it was something where it's like, I was definitely down to.
Yeah, it seems like
sneak a peek.
It seems like it, at least in the memory, right? It seemed like the Cat in the Hat level.
Yes.
Like weird.
Yeah.
Or Gremlins, just in terms of like what it could do.
Yeah.
And I think it was certainly trying to be that.
Yes.
But it like completely missed the mark for me when I watched it. Like, was either half-assing a lot of the visual aesthetics, was like weirdly like misogynistic, but I feel like it was supposed to be like noir-y.
Yeah.
But it like just did it in a way that was like wrong.
Yeah.
Or just felt really off.
Yeah.
And then I feel like when you look at the source material too, I feel like because the director is straying away from what this thing was actually supposed to be.
Yes.
It like becomes really tainted or like half-assed in terms of like what it actually is. Because we were talking about how this movie could have gone in like 5 different directions, but chose to only kind of do all of them.
Yeah.
Instead of like picking a lane and like doing it justice, and kind of like Waterworld.
Yeah. I'm giving Waterworld credit here. Waterworld definitely felt though like it was made by someone, with a vision. Like I definitely see it as like
explain.
Like obviously it's just trying to be water Mad Max.
Yeah.
And I definitely get that, but it had, the one thing you can definitely give Waterworld is the production design was peak.
Yeah.
Like that's where the creatives went.
Yeah.
They weren't writing the screenplay.
Yeah.
They were doing that. And so maybe that's it. At the very least, you can look at Waterworld and you understand it, and it feels like, okay, they made that movie.
Right.
Like take out all of because I think the movie, if you took away all of the acting and it was like a silent film, Waterworld, and you change what they say and you change the plot and all of those things, I think there's a lot more potential. And with The Mask, it felt like it was, like you had said, multiple movies in one. Like it was a Tim Burton style movie, so expressionistic, but it never went completely. Like occasionally you'd see just like a boring regular street or a boring regular building,
and it didn't,
and it's shot boring. Like you have to be, the camera's got to be insane in this. And I'm thinking like a Terry Gilliam sort of movie, like 12 Monkeys or
The Fisheye
or Brazil. I mean, I'm always going to say add a fisheye. If there's something I don't like, add a fisheye.
Especially for the expressionist stuff, that seems like an obvious choice.
Because I even think like Fallen Angels felt more like The Mask than The Mask did, which is a weird thing to say, but like there's crazy things in that and crazy acting and like over the top acting. And you even have a Jim Carrey that is not all, like he's not all in like Ace Ventura style. Like he leaves it all for the Mask character.
But even then it's like
it still feels, and I think, and I thought this as well too, that because the source material was so different and so violent for one, and definitely like leaned in a completely different direction, that this one had to put its like kid gloves on and didn't really
pulled its punches.
It pulled its punches. I think that's a great way to put it.
That's a good thing to point out, that the director or writer or whoever like decided to make this a family movie. And that kind of took away from a lot of what made the comic book, because this is based off of the Mask comic book series or whatever. And like you said, it was like much more gritty and like noir-esque. And they just like kind of sterilized all of that.
Completely sterilized it. And I it's coming to me now that I think there was just a trend in the early 90s to make like more family friendly movies.
The Spielberg effect.
Maybe that's a little bit of what it was. Like, because I'm thinking of the big one that I think was a big sea change was Batman, 1989's Batman, which we will talk about eventually. Was
eventually turning into more kid friendly.
And then they ended up making, and actually I meant to say Batman Returns. That one's so dark. And I think that's 92 or 91. Like it's somewhere around there. Was so dark, and McDonald had complained that like because it was on that it was and people had complained like the Happy Meals were with all of these dark characters, and you couldn't really take a kid to see the movie. Like it was like a scary movie. And so it ended, I think that was a big sea change as well of this trend, because I'm thinking of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze. The first one, they were their regular Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle selves. They've got weapons. The second one, no weapons. And these are ninjas.
Weapons are bad.
Weapons are bad. So they're fighting people in one scene with like sausages in like a butcher shop.
What the
fuck? They found ways around it, but
like Jackie Chan style.
But we're talking like, so I think that there was a trend to just like, all right, we got to fill this family-friendly gap in things. Oh, this is perfect. Like Jim Carrey feels right. Like the aesthetic is right. I mean, the poster for The Mask is so cool. And it just is, it's such a bummer that it just doesn't, it doesn't have it. And there's some awful actors in this movie too. And that's another thing where it's just like, dang, what are we doing? And
because I think the expressionist / noir inspiration, I think, is another angle that I feel the movie is almost doing. You had mentioned, I think, camera. I kind of would point out the lighting. It's just like, it's not doing the thing right. You know, like the way a noir movie feels, like the chiaroscuro, the contrast and everything. It just, that should make you feel something. This just felt like they were like putting up a light somewhere. Like it just didn't feel there was any thought or intent into it, you know? Like you said, the shots are just boring and stuff. It's like, you're not going to get to the genre part if you don't do all the genre things right. You know?
And I think that that wasn't what they were really trying to do. Like they had this, they were like, okay, we've got CG animation, so we'll lean into that a little bit, and then we have a costume, and that's it. And then you have like just like these really just like, I mean, even the scene when they are in the like the car manufacturing, like the car repair shop, or maybe there was another one too where it's just like he doesn't fit it, like it's just a regular set with this character, and that's just not that's not doing the premise justice, and the style. And if there was someone with like a lot of like film history or background that was like, okay, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna have a vision, and do it, this is right material. It would totally, obviously the misogyny in this is off the charts crazy, and maybe that's an early 90s thing too, is like the objectification is just wild,
so bad.
And
it does make me wonder if like Jim Carrey was like aware of how bad this script was and was kind of just shooing it in, or calling it in terms of performance and stuff, because man, it just felt like he didn't really care either. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. It's
like
hard.
Brad Pitt in Vampire.
That one felt more obvious to me. That one was definitely like, oh, you could tell this guy doesn't like it here. This one, maybe it's just like Jim Carrey, like definitely the scenes where he's not the mask is definitely so
I mean, compared to his other
painful
characters, it's like, you know, this guy could go like 100% more.
If you really give it to him, and if you have a director that's willing to go there too,
and allow him the space and stuff.
I'm thinking of Ace Ventura as a perfect example of just like going crazy and making this like this crazy character that feels
like it
perfect.
makes it real. Because I think at this point in his career, he's already like established as that kind of guy. And so when you are shaping this movie, it's like, oh, Jim Carrey, obviously, you know, like you could easily put Mike Myers in this. You could put like other character actors like that, you know, and fill that spot. But Jim Carrey at this time is like, I feel like at his height or whatever.
I have another gripe. And that's the beginning of the movie. And this, I think, would just set me off and being like, oh, they don't know what they're doing. Like, they're just putting scenes together and calling it a movie. Was just the scene where the mask is found? Like, it was in a chest underwater.
That was really dumb.
It was so dumb. Like, there's a chest underwater. We don't have any explanation why it's there, and you don't need that. But you have that, and then they basically make this giant setup that a diver goes down and
finds it randomly.
And finds the box, and then a rock, I think it was a rock or something, falls on the diver, kills the diver, and then accidentally opens the box. And then the mask floats up. That's how the mask comes to be. Like, that's so dumb. And the comic does it so much better, like in just the first page of it. And I think they actually went like the other direction, but I think a direction that would have been great. I mean, it's just like the guy finds it, and I think Gremlins is a great example. A guy finds it at an antique shop or something like that, or it's discovered. You don't have to have this, and it made this really contrived thing, and it felt like something they just kind of shot after.
Like, we need an intro.
But also just like him finding it floating in a river is also just so
dumb.
It's just like you want to do things on purpose, and make things that are like that have like some sort of, and maybe that's even what I mean by on purpose, but has like a thread that goes through the movie. Like that never comes back up. That diver, why that, like any of that, the
legacy of the mask.
Nothing. I mean, it's just like, I think you're supposed to kind of laugh. I think it was meant to be funny that the diver gets hit by a rock. But it's not, it certainly isn't shot funny. It certainly isn't shot funny. So, and so like that already, I was like, oh no, like it just feels like this is being helmed by. They got they got like a Ferrari of an idea, and then they
Put a
pumped the brake.
Corolla
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
engine in the
yeah. They didn't get their driver's license.
yeah.
Yeah, and then another thing, like the guy they cast as Jim Carrey's sidekick, or kind of like his friend at the bank,
Yeah.
who's like a comedian, in quotes, comedian. And it was just like he had no riz. The guy had no riz at all. Like it was like completely stone faced, like, and not even like an intentional way. Just like like he had no range of motion,
Right.
Range of emotion. And that was just another thing. I was just like, dang, you're putting up against Jim Carrey like someone who has no riz.
Yeah.
And it's just tough. And then
You're right. All the actors were just like bad.
yeah, and then even like you can think of like what the villain would be in The Mask. And I think there's, I think that you can come up with a lot of. There is a villain. I mean, at the end, I'm talking about when the bad guy gets the mask and becomes like this figure.
I forgot.
And that also isn't committed to, like, he doesn't do anything interesting.
Yeah.
He just looks ugly.
Right.
Like you can have like a really interesting kind of like build up to the character or something like that.
Sure.
That works. And then his voice, they just made his voice deeper with like effects.
You're right.
And it sounded so bad. It's just like you what you actually do is you get someone like with an actually good voice to voice over it, if that's really what you want to do. And so there was just a number of like, and then obviously the CG was what it was. Like you're not going to like
I thought that was really bad too.
Yeah. I mean, they're certainly trying to push it in a certain direction.
Yeah.
And they really committed to doing it. Like his face turns into a wolf and his tongue comes out and stuff. It's like they really did it.
Yeah.
But
it's a vibe.
So it is what it is, but
definitely allusions to like allusions to the old cartoon shows.
Yeah. And that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Like and all they really did to like commit to that bit was like they had it
some
playing
effects.
in his, well, they had some sound effects, but they had it like, I guess I'm meaning like why it's like that in the movie. They had Stanley Ipkiss, he likes watching cartoons.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, it's just all these things that just they just fall so flat.
Yeah.
And I even want to try to understand it more. It's a good movie to come back to, I think, as we continue to get smarter with movies. Because I think it is like a train wreck to be studied.
Well, I think a lot of what we're talking about is issues with direction.
Yeah.
And that, when you look at a movie and you feel like there's no through line, like what you said, like a thread connecting all of these things. Like if we think of this as like a pearl bracelet or a pearl necklace or whatever. Yeah. And each like aspect of the film is like a pearl. Mm-hmm. The direction is like the string going through it. And you need someone who's like going to say, okay, we need a little bit of this, but we need a lot of that. Yeah. And making sure everything is mixed in the right proportions and, timed at the right whatever sequence. Yeah. And I just feel like he's just putting in things and not really like pulling it all the way through to the end to where it feels like a cohesive thing, all of these ideas we're talking about are just half-baked ideas. Yeah. And that's mostly what's leading to like what we're talking about of like this train wreck of a movie. Yeah. It's just like, man, you just didn't do anything. You just didn't really like put in the effort. Yeah. And it's crazy. This movie made $350 million at the box office.
It's crazy, and even on, and it also just shows some interesting things. Even on Letterboxd, it has pretty good reviews by people.
People
throw
this.
5 stars for it, and it's one of the and maybe nostalgia's just like.
And people hate the Cat in the Hat.
Yeah. The Cat in the Hat is so much better than this. It's so insane.
Much better, yeah.
And even Cat in the Hat was, I mean, the stories of the absolutely insane, terrible production of it, it still comes out so much better. Right. So you can even have a bad production and a movie can come out looking good. Yeah. Yeah, and it is wild that people have smoke for the Cat in the Hat, but not for the Mask.
The disrespect.
It is disrespectful. But Yeah, I mean, The Mask, if they just went like, if they really
little bit
committed to
harder,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
and that's because you can have like regular people in a fantastical world. Cat in the Hat does that really well.
Yeah.
And then still throw in a fantastical element.
Yeah.
And it still is crazier.
It still lands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it still totally lands. Like it felt like they wanted to have like a bland, boring world, but still not. I mean, they did choose a city and they would wet the streets. Like they knew they were making a film noir,
Yeah.
but they didn't know how to make one.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't even
Added
like,
so much. Yeah.
yeah, but it wasn't even as like boring as like a regular
Like TV show or
TV
whatever.
show, and then you throw in this crazy character. Might have even been better that way. This was just not willing to. I guess it was just the safest option.
Yeah. It was just a studio thing.
Yeah, it felt
feels
like a Studio Note movie.
Yeah.
Studio Note's the movie.
Yeah. Totally. Like made by committee type of thing.
Yeah. Maybe that's actually what when you run into this in movies, I think it is
just like too many ideas coming in.
many ideas and people that don't know what good ideas are.
Yeah.
That's usually the people up top.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Given the notes.
Yeah. Definitely. The issues with this movie, definitely from up top. In terms of decision making and like what's going on.
Yeah. You certainly cannot. I mean,
you can't blame anyone.
You can't blame anyone else.
Yeah.
Because I think the costume is good.
It's still good.
Yeah, it's still good. I love that suit. I love all of like the
mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the costume design of everything else was but
the character design.
yeah, the character design is great. Like
I mean, it lives in our head.
It does. It's so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's another, like, I really was not expecting to not like it. Like I was really excited to watch it, and then it just
expectations.
Yeah. And there's this place for meta movies, obviously, and I'm talking like really meta. Like they know they're a movie, and they're throwing in your face a little bit. Gremlins is great,
or specifically the New Batch.
Yeah, the New Batch is, I think, the perfect amount of it, and it's so great.
Yeah.
I recently watched Scream again.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah,
and two.
Yeah, and that's
a great example.
Have you seen Scream?
I haven't, but I know very much about all the things.
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts, because the first one is great because and there's some things that I would change and stuff, but that
but
regardless, it does it, and it knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
The second one had so much potential because it knew it was a sequel.
Sure.
There are conversations in a film class with the characters, because the characters are mostly film theory students.
I love it.
Yeah, I know. It's so great. And they're like having conversations by like, what sequels are never good? Like, name a good sequel. And they're like naming all these things.
All the good sequels.
Yeah. I mean, they're naming good ones, they're naming bad ones. And then someone's like, oh, you loved James Cameron, don't you? Because he's like naming like T2
Aliens.
and Aliens. And it was like, and they're talking, and even one of the characters who is in Jamie Kennedy, who ends up connected to The Mask, and he is the lead in The Mask 2, Son of the Mask, which is interesting. Obviously, the kid is more the lead because it's like a kid that gets the mask.
Right.
But his character's like obsessed with movies. And so even in the first one, he knows, like, he's like, oh, this is what would happen in a horror movie. Like, this is like this movie.
All the tropes.
Yeah, all the tropes. And so in the second one, he's also that guy. He's like, oh, if this is a sequel, because basically a movie has come out based on the events of the first film. And so there's like a copycat killer.
Sure.
And he's like, oh, if they're making a sequel, the death's got to be bloodier. Everything's got to be bigger. All of these things.
That sounds like a better movie.
And it could have been, but then it just kind of it doesn't really commit. Like it has so much potential to like really like throw that it's a movie at you, but by the end of the finale, like, and in the final thing, it just kind of devolves into another, the first Scream could have regular kills, right? It could have like regular ones and it would be okay, even though it knew. The second one had to like have, in my opinion, had to have kills that either reference the first film or like were like, every kill needed to be like sequel focused in some way,
building off of things.
Yeah. Like the to promote the theme, I guess.
Sure.
And it ended up just kind of being a lot of it. Just at times would become generic horror flick, and to jump just one more dimension or to one more movie. Wes Craven. Oh, another dimension. Let me close that off. We're coming back. That's too dangerous. Wes Craven also did another film called The New Nightmare. And so Wes Craven, who directed the Scream movies, he directed Nightmare on Elm Street. So he's known as someone that knows slasher movies
so it's
and
like
everything.
even more meta.
Huh? Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Scream, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The fact that he knows, well, I don't know. I don't know if he directed. I think he did, but yeah, because I think it's called Wes Craven's New Nightmare. That movie is completely meta. And it's about the actors in Nightmare on Elm Street in the real world, and now Freddy is in the real world trying to kill the actual actors from the first movie. It's so good, and they like
wow.
And even Wes Craven is in the movie, like as
sure.
the main character ends up going to him like for advice and stuff like that, and so
wow.
So meta, like I just think there's so much potential for meta movies like that.
Yeah.
And this could have been that, and I think it should have been that, but it just didn't. It didn't even know how to speak that language at all. I think there were probably some break the fourth wall. That's about as far as it was willing to go, as like a hey, look at me, like sort of thing.
So this is definitely like meta, meta has always been a thing, and definitely in film.
Yes.
But I feel like we're seeing like a meta movement in the 90s.
It seems like, I mean, at a certain point, I'd be curious thinking about where movies were in the 90s, like, because obviously there's always an answer to the previous, or like a response to the previous. I was going to say administration, but like what was big. Yeah. And so I'd be curious, like what was happening right before.
Well, the 80s is like considered one of the worst periods in Hollywood history.
Oh, really?
Like, not great studio stuff. People don't really remember it as like good. I feel like tied to American conservatism during that time a little bit too, just in terms of like being safe or like being conservative with like ideals and like creativity and stuff.
Yeah.
And so like I could hypothesize of like the 90s just blowing things up, especially with like new things happening. Just trying to come to some sort of absurdist understanding of like the world and the universe. Like things are rapidly connecting now, like with things and
I think that Funny Games, another 90s movie,
right,
with that kind
meta.
with that meta element to it,
dude. Yeah, especially in the horror scope,
it's so much potential for that. I think because horror is such an easy, I think it's a much more easily defined genre.
Right,
like you can really understand the elements of it.
Right,
it's easy to go to that and get a sense.
Break the rules and the walls. Yeah.
And so those, I mean, that's perfect for meta commentary. And that's why even Scary Movie and Scary Movie 2 came out.
It's just building off that.
And I think there's something very, very interesting about that. And
well, definitely the 90s nihilism and the violence that we had talked about in the Funny Games episode.
Yeah.
I feel like the meta allows like people to embrace that in a different way, maybe, especially with the horror genre too.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is an essay.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think there's I would love to hear what you think of the Scream movies. I'm going to watch the third one just to be like, all right, I'm going to commit to watching the original trilogy of them. But they're still making them, and they're bringing the original cast. And I'm just like, there's no way. And the reviews for the third one are awful. So I think that it's diminishing returns from here on out. But
as it is.
Yeah. But man, it had so much potential. Like it could have like
make one.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But it's just like I don't think you make Scream again. Like like that's over. That's done. Like just like I don't think like they got to stop just making the same
movie.
Yeah, they're like make something. There is definitely a space for and there probably are some that I just don't know of, but of meta horror movies that should come out and should break that mold.
Make movies meta again.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. And not just in a but not just in like a, because they were the really old I mean, not old, real. I'm saying really old, and they came out in the 2000s. But I'm talking like,
90s.
well, no, the ones I'm about to talk about, like Scary Movie and Epic Movie and Vampires Suck and
all the parody stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's so like there's parody,
Yeah.
and then there's something
Meta.
else. Yeah,
Yeah. Meta and parody are very different.
yeah,
And I think parody is like almost a misunderstanding of meta in a way. Or I don't know. This is discussion too.
that is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's something interesting there because part
Yeah,
of me
that is
feels like
interesting.
just at first go, parody and meta are speaking the same language.
Yeah, they're using the same tools.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
But I think the
they are
goal is
dealing with
different.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I guess that's probably because they are dealing with the same source material.
Sure.
Like these are all responses to movies,
Right.
in most cases.
Yeah.
And so
You're like
obviously-
riffing off a thing that
Yeah.
already exists.
Yeah.
Same with satire too,
yeah,
I would say.
yeah, true. Yeah. So you got The Mask, which doesn't get to
Pulling
really
it
sit.
back.
You
Pulling
know,
it back,
yeah,
baby.
Yeah, it doesn't get to sit on the throne,
No.
and it could have.
Yeah. It had so much, could have been a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah,
Could have been a Sam Raimi movie.
yeah,
Could have been a noir expressionist
Yeah.
movie.
yeah, yeah. It definitely was trying to be all. I think Sam Raimi is another great example.
Yeah.
Of like, oh yeah, Evil Dead, easily like also so visually interesting
Right.
and crazy, and that's the vibe that this needed for sure.
For
you
sure.
needed you just got to go crazy.
Yeah. Just like turn it up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe that's they PG'd this thing into
To
oblivion.
death, yeah.
Exactly. Like they beat it with the PG stick senselessly, and basically killed our boy. They
Yeah.
killed our boy.
They took him down.
Yeah. So what a tragedy.
Yeah. That's
Oh, that reminds me.
what were we just talking about?
We were talking. I mean, The Mask.
Yeah.
But you were saying like Tim Burton and
Oh, yeah.
Sam Raimi. I watched. Have you ever seen After Hours?
Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, an early Martin Scorsese film. Have
I
you ever seen
haven't,
it?
but I know of it.
Yeah. That movie, I watched it recently. It's considered a screwball. That was the reason I watched it, because I'm
On the
definitely
screwball.
I love screwballs.
Yeah.
I love mumblecore. I love screwballs.
Yeah.
Turns out, I love movies. No.
Yeah. Those are great movies. Those
yeah.
are great. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Pockets to sit in. Yeah.
After Hours was supposed to be a Tim Burton movie.
Wow.
And this would have been early Tim Burton.
Yeah.
So this was
It's
even
like in
before
the
like
80s.
Edward Scissorhands and movies like that really would define him.
Yeah.
But you watch this Martin Scorsese film and you can watch it and be like, oh, I could see how Tim Burton would
Fits here.
fits here. It definitely makes sense. But even with a Martin Scorsese very grounded style,
Yeah.
it works. It really works. And I think that's just like
There's
the
an edge
power
to his movies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a power to a director.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah,
You
and
feel it.
You definitely feel it. And so
Yeah.
you can that's like a Tim Burton Scorsese hybrid. It's very interesting viewing experience.
Sure. Yeah.
Once you kind of know that.
Yeah.
It even has Catherine O'Hara in it for a bit too, and she was in Beetlejuice.
yeah. Home Alone.
Yeah, Home Alone. We're just gonna name Catherine O'Hara.
I don't know
Best
anymore.
in Show. I mean, honestly, all the Christopher Guest movies in almost all of them. Have you ever seen any Christopher Guest? Wow, I'm finding the
don't know who that
hole in Kevin's
Yeah.
filmography.
Yeah.
Christopher Guest was in This Is Spinal Tap, and he's known for making a bunch of like mockumentaries.
yeah. That's on the list.
Yeah. So Best in Show and Waiting for Guffman and
also on the list.
For Your Consideration and movies like that.
Nice.
Yeah. I actually just recently watched For Your Consideration again, which is like a more scripted. They're very improv heavy. They've got just like improv, like a certain improv.
Out the wazoo.
Yeah. Before like Will Ferrell's time. So it's a totally different kind of group.
I'll see.
Yeah. Well,
Well, nice.
I mean, The Mask.
Yeah. Would you wear it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Feel it?
Yeah, I mean, why? Like, he did a bad
Feeling
job with
green,
it.
buddy.
Yeah, he did a really bad job with it.
Yeah,
so
there's
many
so much-
cool opportunities. And I would
Yeah.
like, now here's the thing. Is it The Mask, but when I put it on, I'm in a PG movie? Like, can I only do PG things?
That's up to you, I guess.
Uh-oh.
That's the world.
Well, I'm
you
going
create.
R.
You're gonna kill some people.
Yeah. I'm going to get crazy with it.
Yeah. Get dark.
yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, man, if this movie, just went to PG-13 or R, it needs grit.
Yeah.
Ah, man, it's
Grit
so,
and grind.
It's so hard to watch a movie. We'll talk about in a future episode about Australian New Wave.
Yeah.
There is a movie in that I watched it and I was just like, I see the good movie and it just isn't there. And it's so hard to...
Picnic?
Huh?
Picnic?
No.
Oh. Calm?
Dead calm.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Picnic. I have good things to say about Picnic. But okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
That's
okay.
spoiler for a future episode.
We're fading into the next thing.
Yeah. There's no more to say about The Mask.
Yeah.
So
Yet. Yeah.
We'll do a second episode.
We're coming back.
I think the Mask has started a conversation though.
Yeah.
Which I think is important.
Yeah.
About meta movies and maybe even meta 90s movies. And I look forward to bringing The Mask up again in this sphere. So thank you, The Mask, for giving us some ideas for the future.
Some content.
And giving, content.
Content is king.
All right, folks. That's a wrap. We'll see you next time.
That's a wrap. Wind Reel in Print is a podcast by Salad Brain Productions. You can find us on Instagram at Wind Reel in Print Pod. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts. And please, if you like the show, leave a rating and review. We'll see you next time.